Well, come on guys, well I'm just north of Salisbury, just down the road from Stonehenge actually. The bike is naked, quick, don't look at her, because today she is going for a remap. I'll tell you all about it, why it's being remapped, but for now I've got to be somewhere for 10, so let's hit the road. Naked and beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful around here. I thought I'd just stop and put the camera on here because I've forgotten how nice it is up here. I tried to put the camera on to show you a bit of Stonehenge as I went by, because the main road runs right past Stonehenge. Oh, speed camera. Okay, so why is the bike going for a remap? What is wrong with the Hilltop motorcycle tune? You're all shouting at me, I suspect. Well, there's nothing wrong with it, to be honest. The bike, since I've put the full system on this bike, it's just the throttle response has been a little bit more snatchy. When I first put it on, it was really bad, but I think it's taken a little while for things to start to happen with the Hilltop. But it's still not perfect, and in A mode, on and off the throttle, it can be a little bit jerky, and I want it remapped just so it's absolutely perfect. So where I'm going today is quite interesting. The guy who's mapping this, it's not your normal Woolwich tune. Again, I'm not doing anything regular. Why don't I just get a regular map done? I've always got to do something a bit different. But the guy who's mapping this basically maps this using the standard Suzuki software. So he alters the Suzuki fuel table directly. So it's not like a Woolwich tune, but he goes into the standard ECU, accessing it the way Suzuki would, or the Suzuki engineers who originally mapped this bike, and basically remapping directly the Suzuki fuel tables, turning off things like the servo motor and stuff like that, going directly into the ECU and manipulating the data directly. So there could be some good roads actually. I've just sat on the A34 all the way up here. Now it looks like we could be getting a bit more interesting, maybe. So let's have a go at the chug test on this bike. It's a 4th gear with the Hilltop and without the Hilltop, we're quite interesting. So 20 miles an hour, full throttle, very flat, then it kicks in, So then compare that when I've got it remapped, because I think that very low end fueling is where it will be improved. Let's see, we'll repeat that on the way home. So what we've done, we've pulled the information off the ECU onto the software on Mr. X's laptop. So that's all the map information from my ECU. So now he has to map the bike, run the bike, see where it's lean, and then make the adjustments on here, which are then loaded back onto the ECU. This is going to be tuned per cylinder, so it's not tuned at the tailpipe, which is where all of the headers gases combine. This is actually being mapped at 2 cylinders. I think it's cylinder 2 and cylinder 4 because they share the same map, because this actually has a map. Every cylinder has its own map on the stock ECU, so you have to map each cylinder differently, but because the map for cylinder 1 and cylinder 4 are more or less identical, and the map between cylinder 2 and cylinder 3 are more or less identical. I could have it the wrong way around actually, but there's 2 of them which are more or less identical, so we're mapping at those particular cylinder levels and then just replicating that map to the other of its paired cylinders. But just looking at the information from the dyno printout, the air fuel ratio at the exhaust is completely different to what you're picking up at the actual cylinder itself. So one of my cylinders, I think it's cylinder 2 or cylinder 4 I think it was, it's really lean. It's off the scale at some point with how lean it is, whereas what's coming out at the end of the exhaust is okay because the other cylinders are compensating. But it just goes to show you really need to map at the cylinder level to really know what's going on. Ooh, another Suzuki. Gonna have a little spin on this, because this is Tom's bike. It's been mapped already by Mr. X. He's also got the Dymags on it, which will be going on to mine shortly. But yeah, so it's very similar. It's got the full arrow system, but it's lovely in a really rare red. It's only 200 into Europe apparently of this red, because it was mainly made for the American market, but I didn't realise it was actually metallic. It's nice. We're going to have a little spin to see what I can expect from mine. Hopefully mine will be very similar to this, but this has got the Dymags on it, the full arrow system, which I think is slightly louder than mine. There's a big outlet on it, and it's in this lovely rare red. He's done a bit of work to it. Carbon frame guards, carbon surrounds. Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Carbon tank covers. But it feels different to mine. It feels different, because mine's got the Gillies clip-ons as well. So mine's got different clip-ons to this. As this, I think this has got the yeah, I'll tell you what feels different. I think this has got the Enduro tank cover, so it sticks out further this way. This isn't an Armels, this has got the Showa suspension on it. That's left here, says what he meant. Which feels a little bit harsher than my Nitron kit actually. What have we got behind here? Oh, the direction changes. Wow, that is much lighter on its feet than mine. It's definitely smoother on and off the throttle though. God, it just wants to drop into the bends with these wheels on. Yeah, it's got a better pickup. It's got a better pickup than mine has. That pickup from sort of 5,000 revs is stronger than mine is. Yeah, it's got a lot more pull. Well, here we go, and we're here. So, initial thoughts on the actual mapping there. Once it starts to come in on torque, it really takes off, much more so than mine does currently with the Hilltop. It's still a bit flat at the very bottom, so that's obviously just a characteristic of the bike. But I love it. Oh, I like that pop. I can't believe the turning, like with the Dymags on it. Wow, it's like, whoa, it drops. You've got the endurance tank as well, haven't you? That's one thing I noticed straight away. Not suitable for my belly, one of those.
It does feel quite good when you're really on it, because when you brake really hard,
yeah, you got that support. Yeah, but as soon as I hit a bend, I was like, wow, it just like drops in compared to mine. But the fueling is much smoother than my fueling. Yeah, mine's much more snatchy than that, and mine sounds a little bit crackly. You can almost sound it feels like it's a little bit lean. You've got that sort of crackly noise to it, you know. But
like, even just to put a bit of warmth in it before you left, even then, you'll notice that if you went out on a cold morning, you get out and you might think to yourself, oh, it's still a bit lumpy bottom end. By the time you've got a bit of warmth into
no, I'll be perfectly happy with that, absolutely. And once it starts to go, obviously it's not much of anywhere to do anything just up there, but you can feel it really start to pick up. But no, thanks so much for that. That was it's a beautiful bike. I don't know if you can hear just in the distance there, that's my bike on the dyno at this moment. So what we've done, we've pulled the data off the ECU. Mr. X has now made some adjustments to the map offline, so plugging the ECU back into his laptop, here it goes, made some adjustments. Now they've then been written back to the ECU now, and we're doing the first run on the dyno to see how far out we are. What we've done is we'd used the map from Tom's bike, Tom's GSXR, with the arrow, thinking it would be close, but actually because the Predator headers have that extra bit of pipe work, it's actually quite a long way out, and we're having to make more. Actually, a couple of the cylinders are really lean, so we're having to make a lot of changes, sort of 10-15% extra fuel at the mid-range to bring it back in the right area. And then this is the first run, so there's going to be more runs to get it absolutely spot on, but this is where we are after that initial first changes. Could be a long day. So is that before and after you've got on there at the moment, is it?
That's before and after at the minute.
That's before and after. Christ, there's big gold changes already then, isn't there? With that first run. So the red is the current, the blue is the old cylinder fuel ratio. So you can see on the old stock map, it's off the scale on leanness. Yeah. And this after the first run, which has been done, and the first corrections, we're getting where it should be now. So a bit more tuning, which is even nicer. Okay, time for another run. Tweaks have been done. They've been loaded back onto the ECU. It's a manual process to smooth the graphs out because you've got different maps with different throttle positions. So the full power run is one thing. That's easy enough to do, to set your fueling and get the full power right. But you've got to get partial throttle, 50% throttle, 12%, 75%, and that's all the different maps. So Mr. X has done that. This is the second proper run now, so the ECU's back on the bike, it's been updated. We're going to run it again now, see how the graphs look, and it may need a bit more tweaking and one more run until it's finalised. But she is getting there, and already the fueling is so much better. I'm quite excited. Cylinder 1 and 4 perfectly mirrored. Yeah.
Sorry, 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Right between the red and the green. Very close to it.
So from 10,000 revs, I'm going to take out 4%.
Yep.
And that should pull that one in, so I'm going to adjust that now.
It's much smoother graph, isn't it, as a whole? Okay, hopefully the final run now after tweaking. Fuel curve's looking really good now, so there's a couple of areas we want to work on just to get it absolutely perfect. But I think full throttle power was sort of 204 last time, I think 206 originally. Obviously it's getting hotter in the dyno room, so that affects that. But she should be spot on after this run, hopefully.
So literally on our 12-degree run, which is where I wanted to improve it. Remember, first of all we had 2 humps, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we had that 1 hump. Now we've got no hump, but we've still got 4,600. We still need some gasoline there.
Oh, really?
So that is cylinders 2 and 3, and that's cylinders 1 and 4. Absolutely flat.
Look at that, that's really... Look at that. And what was it for 4? Can you bring out what it was before? Originally when it came in. That's when it came in, the purple.
Yeah.
Yeesh, that's the 2 cylinders when it came in. So what one's that's off the scale? Is that cylinder 1, is it?
Cylinder... Yeah, cylinder 1.
Cylinder 1 was off the scale lean. Yeah. Right, so final results. I know you saw basically what power it made there. So she made 104 brake horsepower. One of the runs made 206 brake horsepower at the back wheel. You know, dynos differ. I'm not saying the bikes makes that much power. You know, at that dyno that day we saw that much power at the back wheel, which is a huge amount. More importantly is how much of an improvement we had. But 193
If my memory serves me right, when we first run the bike on the dyno, I come away with 204. So that's a massive improvement, you know, over 10 brake horsepower at the top end, and an improvement across the entire graph. Here's the graph before and after the bike came in. As you can see, there's a big healthy boost in power all the way through the rev range, but more importantly, and why I took the bike there, is just to make sure it was running right. To improve the throttle response, which it has dramatically. The bike pulls so much stronger. Unfortunately, it took quite a while to map the bike, and when I left it was dark and it seemed pointless trying to record anything on the GoPro, unfortunately. So I will go out on the bike, I will repeat the chug test. It's still flat right at the bottom. Below 2,500 revs it's really flat, and I think that's just a characteristic of the bike. The bike revs to 15 grand. Below 2,500 it's flat, and then it really kicks in and builds strong. So from 5,000 revs it pulls like an absolute train. What's really interesting is look at this graph. This is a comparison between the Predator system and Tom's Arrow full system, and as you can see, the Predator is outperforming the Arrow more or less everywhere, apart from 6,000 revs where the Predator just dips down and doesn't quite match what the Arrow is doing. So there's a bit of a lump in the power at 6,000 revs with the Predator compared to the Arrow, but above 6,500 it's stronger everywhere, right up to the top. Even below 6,000 actually it's still stronger than the Arrow, so it's just that dip at 6,000 where it lets it down. And Tom's bike, I think, was a couple of brake horsepower down on the 204 that mine came away with. But I'm very happy indeed. If you want your bike mapped, this was mapped by CJS Dyno Services. As I say, Mr. X. The reason I called him Mr. X throughout the video is because he didn't want to be shown in the video. He didn't want to be known in the video. He didn't really want any promotion from the video because he's very busy as it is. So I didn't use his full name, hence the Mr. X. But he's now willing to, you know, it depends what he needs. A bike which he does a lot of work on Ducatis normally, mainly Ducatis. This is the first couple of GSXRs he's actually worked on, so now we're both happy with the results, me and Tom. He may start working on other GSXRs and mapping them in the same way, but I was so impressed with what he did. The guy's an absolute genius, and to work directly with the fuel tables and directly with the ECU data, it's incredible. And he actually does a lot of work and works with people like Woolwich and share information between them, so fantastic. I may try and get the KTM to him because he can also map KTMs and get that mapped directly with the fuel tables as well, the KTM fuel tables. But there we go. Thanks for watching, guys, really appreciated. Sorry it's a bit of a long video. I'm going to get out of here now. I think it's time to test this bad girl out. See what 206 brake horsepower feels like on the streets. Extremely safe, I'd imagine. See you later, guys.